Gold is a treasure, and he who possesses it does all he wishes to in this world, and succeeds in helping souls into paradise. Christopher Columbus. How's it going, everyone? My name is Josh from Elder Drunken Highlander, and this is our video deck tech for Temur Pirates, also known as Temur Malcolm, or as I call my version, The Road to El Discardo. This deck was co-authored by myself and 3 other people, so there are a few slight variations floating around. For this video, we will mostly refer to our main collaborative deck list, and use Temur Pirates as the name for the deck, even though saying The Road to El Discardo is a lot more fun. Temur Pirates is a fast and consistent proactive deck capable of repeatedly threatening wins nearly every game on turns 2 to 6. It relies on the tempo from Malcolm in combination with a few different pirate-based combos, which we will discuss later. The cutest part about this deck, at least for my version, is that literally all of the win combinations are pirate-based, nay, even pirate-dependent. It's pretty cool to think about. This is a real cEDH Pirates deck, although that's not the main draw to playing it. The main draw to playing it is that it's really, really good. Before I get into this deck tech though, I just want to take literally 30 seconds to shamelessly plug our YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content and want to help decide what decks we do next, you should join our Discord, linked in the description below. We also have channels dedicated to deck help, so if you have a janky deck or even just a regular deck that you want some help with, or maybe that you just want to show off, we highly suggest you come share it in our Discord. It's just the best way to talk to us in general. Okay, back to the deck. Temur Pirates may not seem like the obvious choice when considering pirates in cEDH. Many players are building Turbo Ad Nos or Curious Control variants in Grixis. There certainly are obvious benefits to partnering with Vial Smasher. Temur, however, has many strengths of its own and has a unique deck identity that isn't shared by the myriad of other Grixis Ad Nos builds like its black-aligned counterpart. We are on strategies and win conditions that other decks in our space are not, and we execute them with a degree of consistency that is absent in many Divergent Transformations or Food Chain Temur lists. It is safe to say that when compared to other decks in its colors, Temur Pirates occupies a unique space, doing things that decks like Calamax Control or Animar simply cannot do. This is a proactive deck, and its main strengths are speed and consistency, along with strong backup grind plans the Temur colors can provide. Similarly to an Agila deck, we aim to get our 3-drop commander out every game on turn 2 or sooner if possible. Green's Mana Dork Suite coupled with fast mana package that we all know and love can help us achieve this. To quote Libertas, one of the co-authors of this deck,
generally you're trying to get Malcolm out in turn 2, and after that you generally don't ever need mana again.
Typically we want to attempt to combo off on turn 3 or 4, and then keep attempting combo wins every turn or almost every turn until the game is over. The strategy is possible thanks to the consistency that comes from a 1-card combo with our commander. If you fail the first time, just try to combo off again the following turn. Because of the constant pressure this deck can put on the table, it often sets the pace for the game on turns 3 to 6, which are the turns it is most likely to win. If the game goes late, our strategy can pivot into a more value-focused one. This deck needs to cast Malcolm turn 2. Only in very niche situations do we want to be on any plans that aren't rushing Malcolm and comboing early. Look to keep hands that can produce 3 mana on turn 3. You should also look for hands that have a way to dig for Glinthorn and protect your game plan. If you want more detail on this stage of the game, you should check the opening hands section of the main primer, or watch the Greedy Keeps video our deck features in. Both are linked below in the video description. Once you have Malcolm and resolve Glinthorn, you just need to attack with your Hasty Minotaur Pirate. Glinthorn's activated ability can be activated, and you can pay 1 and a red to discard a card and deal 1 damage to each opponent. Malcolm will trigger and make 3 treasures. Now, you can do this again. Discard another card and create 3 more treasures. Repeat until you have dealt enough damage to kill all your opponents. Simple. The spiciest part about this combo is that Glinthorn is technically still attacking when Malcolm makes the treasures for him and Glinthorn dealing combat damage. That means we can execute our combo with the mana created from our attack. This is huge in terms of playability, as the combo could cost as low as just Glinthorn's casting cost, combined with Malcolm's casting cost, and easily can be spread out over 2 turns. Malcolm even makes a treasure to pay for Glinthorn as well. It's perfect. It is also a super niche rules interaction that we get to abuse, which means players often won't consider it their first time playing against this deck, which can lead to some sneaky, although kinda shady wins. We also have some other largely pirate-based combos that we could use to win in case our main man Malcolm gets locked out or removed. The primary one is that we rely on Underworld Breach Lines. By using Wheel of Fortune or Windfall in combination with either Hull Breacher or Lion's Eye Diamond and Underworld Breach, we can lock out the table, generate oodles of treasure, and fill our graveyard. We do this until we get Brain Freeze. Then we cast Brain Freeze on ourselves and each of our opponents to remove their libraries. Note that we can also win from here by wheeling for lethal damage with Glinthorn on the field. Also note that thanks to Hull Breacher, we don't even need Lion's Eye Diamond for this combo. My personal list, which has a few minor differences from the main list, isn't even running Lion's Eye Diamond. I think it's largely a dead card outside the combo, and I'm also a little personally attached to the idea of running only combos that involve pirates. Whether it's better or not, time will tell. This deck can also run Keen Sense and Curiosity, as well as Tandem Lookout and Ophidian Eye as a backup Glinthorn combo in case we don't get to Malcolm. When we discard with Glinthorn, we draw 3 cards for each damage dealt. If at our end step we have 8 or more cards in hand, we enter a loop where we can continue to discard and draw during our cleanup step until we choose to stop or each opponent takes lethal damage. While this may seem really good, the other deck authors and I have drifted away from it somewhat, as we believe it is usually better to draw cards from something that can dig more in one turn, such as Ponder, than it is to have a continuous draw on Malcolm, who often gets removed, or a backup win con. It is better to take something that is good at one thing than something that's okay at 2 things. I do run Keen Sense in my personal list, as there are a lot of stacks pieces in my local meta, and I think the long-term advantage could be useful. I chose it over Curiosity because I want to use the green mana from my dorks and leave blue mana open to interact with when it's not my turn. There is also the Mutate combo, which I detail in the video linked above. Dockside Extortionist is a pirate, people. This combo is in my personal list because it is low opportunity cost and Dracus' useful utility to recur tutors and wheels. I run Kinnan, Spectral Sailor, and any tutor, especially Finale of Devastation, for outlets. The main list is not on Lord Dracus, as the deck doesn't have any outlets readily accessible from the command zone. There is also one final bonus Pseudo Combo that is complex enough for its own combo-looted video. Let's break it down right here in the deck tech, because I know this flavor of jank bullshit that is somehow cEDH viable is that good stuff that all of you come here for anyways. Survival of the Fittest is our strongest tutor. It can grab Glinthorn as well as any other creature in our deck. It also can be tutored by Muddle the Mixture, which is relevant. The main reason I love Survival in this deck though is this combo. Let's say you cast Glinthorn Buccaneer and he doesn't get countered. You move to attackers and you hear that dreaded phase. In response, someone across the table casts Deadly Rollick, and suddenly your dreams of treasure and glory are ending in painful and agonizing failure. Or so your opponents think. When you get priority, respond to your opponent's removal by activating Survival of the Fittest, paying 1 green mana and discarding a card. Glinthorn triggers and deals 1 damage to each opponent. Malcolm triggers and makes 3 treasures. Go get a random creature from your deck. Now, spend one of those 3 treasures to activate Survival again and discard the creature you just got. Glinthorn deals 1 damage and makes 3 more treasure tokens. You can get another random creature. Continue doing this until you have put every creature in your deck in the yard, ending with Spellseeker in your hand. Assuming you are using the main deck list, this will deal around 14 to 18 damage and net you around 30-ish treasures. You won't even need them all. Now, you can pass priority and let your Glinthorn get exiled. You can still attack with Malcolm too if it makes you feel better. Now, go to your second main phase. Spend 3 of your treasures to cast Spellseeker. Fetch Snap from your library. Now cast Snap, returning Spellseeker and untapping 2 lands. Recast Spellseeker and fetch Muddle the Mixture. Transmute Muddle for Underworld Breach. Cast Breach and then cast Snap from your graveyard. Return Spellseeker. Cast Spellseeker and fetch Gitaxian Probe or any of our draw spells. Cast Snap from the graveyard again and bounce Spellseeker once more. Now cast the Spellseeker 1 final time and get Mystical Tutor. Cast Mystical Tutor and get Wheel of Fortune to the top of your library. Use the Gitaxian Probe from earlier to draw that wheel. Cast your wheel and flash in Hull Breacher from your graveyard in response. Now nobody has hands, and if for some reason they were still holding on to interaction, it's gone. You can now continue this process until you find Brain Freeze from your library, and then use Brain Freeze to mill out yourself the rest of the way, and then mill out the table. Alternatively, you can use Lord Dracus, Eternal Witness, or Noxious Revival to return the Muddle from your graveyard, and transmute again to find Brain Freeze if for some reason you can't or shouldn't wheel. This is a little bit more risky than the wheel plan though, because your opponents will still have hands, and could save themselves from milling out with a Noxious Revival or something after you pass your turn. Either way, this combo is horrifyingly combo looted, and a shitload of fun to resolve. Oftentimes when I attack with Glinthorn and have survival on the field, I catch myself thinking, I dare ya. Notable inclusions. These are my top 5 cards or groupings of cards in the deck. Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. Kinnan is gas in any deck, but he's especially gas in our deck with our treasures. On top of that, he's an outlet for all our mana, whether it be infinite or not, and can be neoformed into Glinthorn Buccaneer. Muddle the Mixture. Our only tutor for Underworld Breach, stapled onto some pretty okay interaction. It can also find Brain Freeze, Dockside, Finale of Devastation, Neoform, and a few other interaction pieces. Oron Frostfang. This card is amazing with Tana and offers a solid backup plan. It is also a fine Neoform target off of Tana herself. While I don't run it in my personal list currently, I am heavily considering it, and think it is a great card for this deck if you anticipate a lot of adversity from your opponents. It's especially good in stacksy games where you might find yourself getting locked out of your win. Phantasmal Image and Phyrexia Metamorph. I enjoy how these guys can copy Dockside, Gilded Drake, Kinnan, Thrasios, or even sometimes Tymna. I also think clones are sweet with cards that counter themselves, like Hull Breacher or Opposition Agent, which we're seeing a lot of in the meta right now. Cavern of Souls. Who said this wasn't a tribal deck? Like I mentioned earlier in the deck tech, literally all of our combos are pirate based, even the breach lines thanks to Hull Breacher, aka Ocean Thief. Having our most important combo pieces be uncounterable is just really good. Really, really good. Notable exclusions. These are cards that we are still considering or just barely didn't make the cut. Curiosity. I would rather have the blue open, so Keen Sense is preferable. The main list would rather have more powerful digging effects on a single card, so neither are preferable. Birthing Pod. I was on this combo originally, and you could see more about it in my primer, but I really don't think it's that good for this deck. It's basically 2 cards that we never want to draw, and a 3rd card that is easily our worst tutor. I go more in depth on this in the primer. Pongify, Lightning Bolt, and other 1-cost removal spells. These are all strong removal options, but we chose to focus on more versatile removal like Abrade instead. They can be slotted in on personal preference if you really like them. Drift of Phantasms. Despite the card synergies, it really is just a slow tutor. And why would you want to discard it when Glinthorn's on the field anyway? What are you seriously tutoring for? Literally any other pirate cards. Hey! All our combos are pirate based. What more do you want? Seriously though, there's no reason to run cards like Siren Storm Tamer when they're essentially just going to be bad mana dorks for us. We could just run a mana dork. They don't even help us get Malcolm out on turn 2, which is really not doing anything for our deck. Power level. This is a real cEDH deck. I ain't gonna mince words or use superfluous vernacular. This deck is serious, and I am of the strong opinion that it is the best Temur deck in the meta right now. Play this deck if you want to play Pirates at the highest levels of cEDH and still have a deck that demands respect from the table. Don't play this deck if you are a filthy land lover, or if you're looking for something fun to bring to casual tables. This deck is really fun, but not like that. Overall, Temur Pirates, Temur Malcolm, The Road to El Discardo, or whatever you choose to name your version of the deck, is a fast and consistent pirate-based combo deck that is a ton of fun to play and is incredibly and surprisingly powerful. Seriously, this deck fucking slaps. If you are interested in making a version of this deck for yourself, I highly suggest you read the primer linked below and also check out all the other resources linked in the description of this video as well. This deck is like a week old, and there's already a ton of buzz about it in the online Magic community. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to help us grow, please, please, please like, comment, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Next week, we'll be going back to the more casual side of EDH for a while, so if that kind of stuff is your jam, look forward to that. I'll see you next time.